All right, hello. We're going to try just a little bit of a live coding session. It's a little bit different than maybe my normal, more polished, hopefully, videos. But we're going to be learning about Sass, the CSS language, if you will. And what I want to do is I want to break down Bootstrap 5. I haven't had a chance to play too much with version 5. I've done 3 and 4 quite a bit throughout my whole career. But I really want to get an understanding of the nitty gritty details of Sass and really use its power, because I feel like I end up just doing it as kind of basically CSS, but maybe with a little bit more ease, not even ease, it's just a different flavor of CSS the way that I end up using it. So I am going to dive into Bootstrap right now, and let's get it installed in a brand new project, and let's just try a couple of things out and see what we find. So let's go ahead. I am here at getbootstrap.com. That's how you can find the download for this. I'm going to hit the copy on this npm command. And then we're going to go on over to my project. I'm going to install that. I am working in Django, but that's not necessary for you to know as you're following me on this one. So let's see. Did it work? Looks like it. I've got my node modules right here, package, all this good stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy it into this area right here, because this is where I want to work with Django. So let's go into node modules, Bootstrap, and then I don't want to mess with distribution. That's their like all of everything like compressed and compiled or whatever. I actually want to get into their SCSS folder here, because this is kind of where the magic happens, I feel like. So I'm going to copy this folder, and I'm also going to throw it in. So I'm in my static CSS folder, and I want to make a brand new folder called Bootstrap, and then I'm going to paste that SCSS folder in here. That's awesome. And then the last thing is over here. It did say, let's see. I went over to this page to customize the Sass implementation. And so I have copied this custom SCSS, all of this, into my styles sheet already. And then I just put end Bootstrap 5.2. So hopefully that should work. I have a brand new page. Let's go ahead and start it up here. Test. And let's just throw some elements on there and see what we can do. Let's start with like a container, and we'll put in a row and column. And then let's do like an H1 learning Sass, something like that. And then just for fun, we'll do some lorem ipsum text here. And yeah, let's just start with that for right now. And I'm going to make sure that that is working. So if we pop back over, this is my local server that I'm running. Here's the page we just built. So things are working, at least for now. So let's see what happens when we start wiring things up just straight out of the box. So I'm going to throw in a link here, CSS, and we're going to do styles, but we're going to do this, I think hopefully this works. We'll do it the Django way. Load static. I want to grab my static folder here. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to grab the path here to copy relative path, and then let's throw it in here, and hopefully that will work. So let's test it out. let's just put a body. This is classic body background. Color is red. Oops. Oh, that works too. I'll just do whatever it just said. So let's refresh this, and nope, it is not working. So that's partially because I actually forgot to. Let's grab the terminal, and I'm gonna start watching. So this is my standard command. So I always name my files, my ultimate style sheet, styles.scss and styles.css. So I have a Sass command that's already basically ready for me to go. I can just copy it into any directory. But what I'm doing here is using Sass. I'm watching, so it'll keep running and watch for any of my changes, so that I don't have to keep, refreshing or engaging the Sass compiler. And then I'm saying my source is this styles.scss, and I want it to put everything into styles.css. And then I like it to be compressed just because it helps performance. And so might as well do things right the first time. So I'm going to hit enter. Hopefully this is running now. So I'm going to hide this. And let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, so it's not working just yet. Maybe I'll put a change in here. Nope, still not working. What's going on? Oh, you know what? I'm in the wrong directory. That's the main reason. So let me just undo all of that. And then I forgot I need to go into the static CSS. There we go. And now let's run the watch command. You got to make sure you do that the correct way. So let's go ahead and hit save. You know what? These paths also need to be switched over to okay, so where am I? I am in styles, which means that I'm here, so actually I don't need any of this. Bootstrap. Okay. Okay, hopefully if I just get rid of all these. Save. Bootstrap without the slash. Okay, finally. All right, sorry about that. So, okay, you got to get your relative paths correct, and I always mess that up. So, yeah, I am here in styles, and I just have to go straight into Bootstrap because I'm not doing this totally the way that maybe you normally would with like a node project or whatever. Because it's Django that I'm using. So I'm going to let that run. And now let's go back and just double check that this is working. Yeah. And all right, so let's see. This probably also means that. Okay, we're back. So I just had to go grab a reference because I couldn't remember all of this. So there you go, live coding, like I said. So what I'm doing here is the Django way is to just load it through their static template loader. So we're grabbing the styles from there, and then we can check, and it actually is now finally working on our local machine here. So let's dive into the actual Bootstrap stuff. And I'm going to get rid of this. And we can see that Bootstrap is already on top of things. It's turned all of this to a sans serif font. We've got, the container columns right here. On the sides, we can see the text is no longer running right from very left edge to the very right edge. So we know that some of those classic Bootstrap classes are not being ignored, and that all comes from this stuff right here. These classes are standard Bootstrap. So let's look at, I saw something really interesting that there is a color contrast function that they have given us in Bootstrap. I'll show you where that is right here. Yeah, color contrast. This is something that has been really interesting to me because I've been getting into the weeds with accessibility on the web. Something really important to me. I really want to make sure that I'm doing things right. And that's something I've been really trying to study. And so this caught my eye naturally. And apparently they're able to, if we go down, yeah, right around here, it's saying that we can have it return a color that is contrast enough to pass the standards, apparently. And so I kind of want to understand what this is and how it works. And so that's going to be our first Sass deep dive, Bootstrap Sass deep dive, to see what we can learn from both of these systems, from Bootstrap and also from Sass, because ultimately I want to learn Sass, and we might as well do it from Bootstrap. It's a pretty classic standard in the industry. Very few people, at least in my experience, very few companies don't use Bootstrap in some way. So let's take a look at the styles here. I'm gonna grab, let's see. I'm gonna grab this is their first example from Bootstrap, and I'm gonna grab, let's make our own custom element here. Let's say we're making a card or something, I don't know. Yeah, card, and we'll call it contrast. I don't know. And then we'll just throw in some lorem ipsum right there, save, and then let's call this contrast. And I just want to see what this does. So let's go back over to server, refresh. And for some reason, okay, so that makes sense. So it is there, this paragraph that we just added. And what happened is, so it's saying it's going to return white, which makes sense because we're saying that the color is this. So that would imply basically that the background color would be like black. Right, so if I turn that on, and then we go back here, so we've got this. So okay, so let's try this with maybe some different color combinations just to see what this returns, and then we can double check if it does pass the contrast checker. So I'm gonna grab, let's grab kind of a weird middle color. I'll stick with grays. But it's always like right in the middle of your choices here. It suddenly gets like, okay, now what should the text color be then to have them enough contrast? Because maybe it looks cool to have all grays, but if it's not contrasted enough, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's kind of keeping it white. So let me try, I'm gonna choose a different color now for the text. I'm gonna go lighter gray than the background color. Hit save, refresh. Okay, so now it's choosing a black color. Let's see if that actually is black. So yeah, it looks like it's choosing, it's actually black that it's returning. And then when I change the color again to something closer, to the background and I refresh, now it's choosing white. Okay, interesting. So it's not quite working how I was anticipating. I was wondering, for some reason I was thinking that it would choose the color based off of maybe my background color, but maybe, let's see. Okay, actually that might still work. Let's see. They have a dark variable. So I'm gonna go back in here. Let's get rid of this. And yeah, let's do like dark. And what if this was also dark? Dark. Save. Go over here. And now it's showing, okay, so that's kind of, that could be an interesting use case of like choosing the background color and then putting the same color for the color but using this color contrast mix in, because then it will always choose the correct contrast, I guess, based on what's the best. Yeah, I'm not sure how to use this the best. It's kind of exciting though, because it's kind of interesting. What if we did both of these? Let's actually just set a little CSS variable as if we were going to theme something. So I'm going to say our dark is actually, I don't know, 0. Let's do like 18, 18, 18, something like that. And then we're going to grab this. We'll just replace these guys with a CSS variable. Hit save, and then let's check out what this does. Oh, dark is not a color. Okay, interesting. So let's see. Okay, so maybe we do have to use. All right, so we don't have so it seems like Sass isn't respecting the CSS variable that I set here, so we can just go ahead and set it as if it were an actual like Sass variable. Let's go ahead and replace these back here. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Probably is a little bit tricky to check for that. Let's refresh. Okay, so now it's working again. We've got our 1818. So maybe what that would mean, I'm going to change the variable. I'm going to stay here, but I'm going to change the variable to like maybe like a red color. Save. And okay, so now it's still choosing white, and this red is still dark enough. So what if I changed the red to something maybe really bright red? Okay, and it's still choosing this. So I just want to double check really fast what the color contrast is. So this is an awesome tool, WebAIM. I'm going to grab this and we're going to check. Let's see. Did it choose white? I can't remember. Yeah, choose white. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, we're at a 4. We're at a 4.8 ratio. And I know that, oh, sorry. All right. So I've popped in our red color, and the text was white. That's what it chose, and it is passing. It should be above 4.5 for like the most lenient accessibility guidelines. It is failing one of these, but for the most part, it lives up to the promise, which was basically, as I understand it, color, it must have a minimum contrast of 4.5 to 1. And it seems to be doing that. So we can try one more red that is even brighter than this, just to see. Save that. Nope. And this was... Okay, that's interesting. So this one didn't work. Oh, and it did switch it over to black. So let's try black. And it's a 5.87. Interesting. That's really interesting. I actually wouldn't have thought that this is very readable, but I guess that has better contrast than the last one. So, okay, so the function seems to be working. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and try to find every possible one, but this is kind of an interesting idea to be able to set maybe like your basic theme, like maybe the strongest theme, like that's your background color, and then just allow the color contrast function to figure out what the color should be of the text, which is kind of nice. If if your designers are cool with that, that might be an interesting way to kind of go about it. So let's dive into the actual Bootstrap mix-in for this. I'm gonna grab this, and I'm going to Control-Shift-F to see if we can skip right over to that function. Is this it? Okay. Oh, interesting. It seems like it's, and this is the cool stuff that I don't understand from Sass, which is like you can do warnings, like I'm guessing that's probably from the compiler, or see, I don't know. I don't really understand any of this. So, all right, so what we're doing is we're looking at a background, color contrast dark, color contrast dark. So we've got like, this is what we're passing in. Okay, so I think these are kind of like our defaults. Like we could add maybe something for this variable, but if it's not included, then it sets it to whatever this is. Let's see. Okay, so it's all right here. And then, let's see, foregrounds. This is all on one line. Color contrast light, color contrast dark, white, and black. And then the max ratio is 0. Max ratio color is null for each color in foregrounds. So in each of these, the contrast ratio, get the contrast ratio of the background color and the color, the background and the color. Oh, you know what? Maybe foregrounds, color contrast, background, color. Contrast ratio, and that functions down here. So maybe we can play with this actually. I don't know. You pass it in a foreground and a background color, kind of like we just did with web aim. If the foreground is not provided, then just use whatever is set right here, which I believe is just white, it seems like. Then we've got some variables for luminance, return if it's greater than this, if the background is greater than the opaque. Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder what this is. Luminance. Sheesh. So, okay, so I've chosen obviously something that is maybe a little bit more hefty than works for a video like this. So I'm going to pivot. I do want to understand more about like functions, and that's just kind of interesting. So yeah, there's just so much to it, and yeah, some of these are like scary to look at, you know. And I don't know, tint color, this was another one that I thought was interesting, from just looking at the docs really fast. So let's leave this one kind of there. I'm going to comment all of that out, and let's figure out how, let's go back to our contrast though. Let's figure out how this whole tint color works. So actually I'll go ahead and uncomment this so we still have our dark color, even though now it's grossly misnamed. Tint color, and then a weight. So like, let's see. I'm guessing it's probably like 1 to 100 or so. Let's just give it a shot. So let's do like 80 just to be really drastic. So tint color, and this is a fairly bright red. So let's see what happens to our background. Let me go over here. And hey, that is definitely tinted. Even though it was already kind of a bright color. So if I'm just going to change to a different color here. Let's do something kind of black, almost an off black, and let's refresh, and now it's back to a gray. So that's working pretty nice. If we want to look at the function here, so basically what it's doing is it's saying we're going to grab a color, and then, you know, that I'm guessing it's 0 to 100. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but it makes sense to me to have that kind of a scale. And then it's returning a mix of white, which would be the tint. In painting, that's tinting adds white and shading adds the black, and then it adds that white to the color by that amount. Mix a color with, yeah, I'm just not sure what the weight is. Let's see if we can find anything that indicates what weight might be. Okay, so we don't know what weight is. It's obviously just a placeholder variable for us as the user of this function to determine what this weight is. I'm not seeing any other indication of like specifically what it would be. So let's just try, you know, here I would assume, I guess, that if the weight does max out at 100, then oops, and we have, you know, a black basically, does that turn it to white? Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it looks like it. So I do believe background color is white. So yeah, I think it's adding white to our color from a scale of 0 to 10, because if it's 0, then we should see this 0E. So let's go back here, double check, and the background color is 0E, 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 just like we set. So, okay, so that's cool. I feel like that's an interesting play, or not play, just that's an interesting way to like dive into what this function does. And it's really interesting to me, this mix function. I wonder if this is Sass specific. So I'm just gonna hurry and do a quick Google search. Sass mix function. Let's see. I don't know, maybe it isn't. That must be a Bootstrap function. So let's see if we can find this. I'm gonna look for a mix with a paren. Let's see. Nope. Mix. Where are you? Interesting. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm not really sure where they're getting this mix function. And it does seem like, at least on Stack Overflow, you can follow along with me, I guess. Tried with no avail. Let's see. Okay, maybe this will be it. Interesting. So I wonder if we can do this then. So let's just try it and see if we can write our own little similar type of function here. I'm going to grab this just for reference, and then we're going to go back into our styles here, and let's just do this for reference. I'm gonna write my own function now, and let's just see if we can make something work here. At function, let's just make everything green or something, like add a green like color filter or something. Green filter, and we are going to grab a color from the user of the function, right? And then, sure, we could do a weight. I hope that's not adding too much here. And then we'll say, I'm just going to put in my own here. So we'll say green. I think they did it like this, where it's kind of like our own special green. Let's grab a color. I don't know green off the top of my head, so let's do like that. Sounds good. Okay, and then we're going to open up our brackets here. At return, we're gonna mix our green this time with the color that the user chose, and we're also going to use the weight. And I'm going to set, actually I'll make this a default. Let's say it automatically goes to 30 if they haven't set it. So let's just see if this works. Save. Let's grab this. We're going to switch this out. Our dark color, let's choose something that's a little bit easier to see with it, like a green tint. Let's do maybe like a yellow, because it'll be pretty obvious if this turns into kind of a green. It'll probably be pretty nasty, but that's okay. Let's give it a shot. And let's head back over to here, and we can see what It has definitely changed the color, right? Oh, no, it hasn't. So let's see. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's not liking that. Let's see if there's any kind of error here. No, we still looking good there. All right, so what did we do? Let's see. Oh, you know what? We had it at 0. Okay, so maybe we just get rid of all this and just use the color there. Maybe that was overriding it. Oh, hey, there it goes. There, now it's working. Okay. So now we've got this totally different color in there, and that's because we've filtered this to be more green. That's actually kind of cool. So now we can mess with this, like maybe it's a darker green, and just doing that suddenly will impact all of the places where this function is being used. That's actually pretty sweet. And okay, so here, let me wrap up, because this was kind of a mess of a video, but we wrote our first function, my first function for sure. I named it green filter, right? Because that's what this is. That's what it does. And so hopefully that makes sense to other developers later on down the line. That's the ideal naming thing. We have set a variable that has to be, you have to give us a color. I'm not going to choose that color. So we probably would get an error, actually. I'm not sure if that's missing or something. I don't know what that... Yep, gives us an error. So we know that we have to have a color here. And then we set a weight, and this is kind of that 0 to 100 scale of like how much green filter do we want to add. And we set it as a default at 30. And we saw that we can also mess with this by changing the number down here, because I messed that up the first time. And we can change it to whatever we want, and it should start working very nicely. That's a much darker green filter, and then we set our green that we want the filter to be to this guy right here. We're mixing all three of these things together so that we add that filter, and it spits it right out as the background color. So all of this gets replaced with the actual hex key, which is also why I believe that we're not getting an HSL value or anything like that. We're getting just straight up like the hex code. So that's actually pretty cool. I'm proud of that. Hopefully this was informative for you, and yeah, I just think this has a lot of potential for us to like start looking at where we're repeating ourselves for forever long in CSS, and hopefully automating some stuff, making things a little bit cleaner. This is actually this is really cool. I'm really excited for where this can go. So thanks so much for bearing with me on this kind of live coding experience. You can always expect these to be messy, and we're just kind of playing with stuff together, and hopefully that helps you out in your work this week or in the future. I will see you around on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.